Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich, joined today by a returning guest. We know him from the VOW Discord. It's Angry216. Hello again, Angry.
Hello, what's poppin'? Back again.
Yeah, glad you're here, glad you're back, definitely. Last time you were on was this time a year ago, and at that time, both the Celtics and the Cavs were looking pretty good in the NBA playoffs there, and boy, did we jinx those teams something good, because Tatum tore his Achilles, and both teams got knocked out of the playoffs. It was not a fun time, Angry, that's for sure.
No, on top of that, it wasn't just that it was a bad time. Literally, once we got off recording this, it was game 2. It's Cavs and Pacers. We're talking, and I'm looking at the, because I didn't watch the game, and I'm looking at the score, and I'm like, oh, all right, we're up by 8. It's a minute left. Literally, I go upstairs, I turn on the TV, and then for the next, 3 minutes, I watch my team blow an 8-point lead and lose the game. It felt like, I guess this would be like a tease for what's happened earlier, but it's like in the end of season 2 when Frank Sabaka gets out the car right to the Greeks. You know he's about to die. That's how it felt like. I was feeling good, came upstairs, then I watched my team die, you know?
Well, the good news is we don't have to worry about being jinxes this year, because both our teams are already out. So the Celtics lost in 7 games, the Cavs lost in a clean sweep there, both painful in their own way. Ugh. Yeah, both painful in their own way, but that's the way of the world, man. Someone's got to win, someone's got to lose, Angry. So
it's true. I don't know. Now thinking about it, dang, I saw them blow it an 8-point lead with 1 minute left last year, and then 2 weeks ago we're up by 22. And I'm like, I progress. I don't get upset. When we lose, I just get progressively quiet, and then I'm just like, so the wife is just watching. We're on, and she's just watching as it slowly goes down, and as Brunson just continues to slay James Harden, and we don't trap. And in my mind, I'm like, we're gonna lose this game. That was after that game was over, I went straight to bed. I'm like, that's it. It was tough. It's tragic.
Yep. Well, hopefully we can get some good cheer this episode, because today's episode is one that I'm calling TV Time, which is something that wrestlers covet, namely over here in the States with the big promotions. They all want TV time. They all want to be on TV because that is, the dominant medium of pro wrestling. It's TV. That's where the most money is. It's TV rights. And that's where the stories are largely being told. It's on Raw. It's on SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, Impact. Going back years to Nitro and Thunder. It's been that way for decades and decades and decades. And if you're on TV, that means that you're being featured, you're being pushed, you're in the mix, you're in the spotlight. Whereas if you're not on TV, if you're always in the back, sitting and catering, as they say, well, things probably aren't going so well for you. And there's like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, etc. But those are, I think, largely for clips and for highlights. But the big action, the big story beats, the important stuff, that's on TV. And God bless whoever is watching all of it, because there's a lot of TV wrestling to consume, Angry. That's for sure.
So much. Yeah, I think that on average, it has to be like at least over 10 hours. I'm thinking Dynamite is 2, sometimes 3. SmackDown is 3, although they're going back to 2. That's already 5 or 6. Raw is always 3, so that's 9. Impact is 2, that's like 11. Then you have NXT. Yeah, you're talking 13 hours of TV
minimum
every week of wrestling wise, which is astounding. 13.
And that's not even including MLW or some of the other promotions that.
Oh, I didn't count Collision. Collision's 2 hours. That's 15 there. And then if you get MLW is what, an hour?
I think so. Yeah.
So that's 16 weeks. That's 16 hours right there. That's almost a day's worth of wrestling. Which is it speaks, you're right. It speaks to the climate. Like getting on TV really is just, I would say, getting guaranteed money. Like getting on TV matters for sure, but just getting that assurance that no matter what we do, we have guaranteed money, cash flow. That is what's prominent. And that results in having 16 hours of weekly wrestling TV, which is
sure.
Which again, like one of those things where we know there's a lot of wrestling TV on weekly, but now that we think about it, we're like, that's just so much,
It's a lot to take in. I mean, it even goes all the way to like down to training. I mean, there's like the running joke of longtime wrestlers signing with WWE and going to the Performance Center to learn where the hard cam is, and the other one, which is WWE isn't teaching people how to be wrestlers. They're teaching them how to be TV stars.
Right.
And there is a truth to that. I mean, when your big driver is TV, then that's what you're going to focus on primarily, as opposed to, say, over in Japan where, they have their own TV shows, but the wrestling comes first. It's all about the dojos and learning how to wrestle and the fundamentals and all that before learning about TV or before even gimmicks. It's two very different kinds of worlds there, Angry.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of, especially you're talking about development. I mean, it in many ways is the testing ground. Not necessarily, I think with WWE, I don't think they're doing anything like experimental, but for guys, people like like Sol Ruka or like Braun Breaker or Trick Williams, like I think they're put on TV so quickly, and you get I think there's something about like you get to see these people their literal first reps from the beginning, like when they're green as grass, and then as they move up. I don't know. That was like, like 20 years ago for OVW, that wasn't the case. It's not like we saw like John Cena or Batista, like their literal first matches. There's something about like, an NXT or even like, I forgot Evolve technically counts as an hour of TV. It's on Tubi, but that's chucking another hour there. But there's something about that. Like you're going to be on TV or in any phase. That's kind of daunting,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially again, if you're so inexperienced with the actual wrestling part of it. I mean, it's one thing to make mistakes, in a dojo or in some house show loop or something. But if you're on TV and you're botching left and right, that's going out there. A lot of people are seeing that, So I don't know if I could be able to do that. Now let me ask you this: have you ever been on TV? Not counting in like the crowd at a sports game or wrestling show, but like any other thing like that.
I have to think of, have I ever been on TV? I don't think so. Have I ever done TV? I have not. My wife has, because my wife is a journalist. So my wife has been on TV. I have never done TV. Yeah, I don't think I have.
I ask because I've been on TV twice, both times as a little kid.
Really?
One of them, it was during a telethon. My dad raised a bunch of money for Boston Children's Hospital. He used to do this yearly kind of a booklet thing called For the Children with poems and stories and whatnot in there. And one year he brought me to the studio, the TV studio there, Channel 4, to present this giant check. And I went with him there, and I was so painfully shy. I actually hid behind the check as best I could, And the other time was in a Barnes & Noble when I think it was the third or fourth Harry Potter book was coming out.
Okay.
And again, the TV news came, and they were interviewing people about it, and they asked me, I'm trying to remember this. They asked me, so why do you like Harry Potter? And I go, because he's a wizard. And that was my answer. That was my big answer. And that aired on the news.
This? I feel like after this you have to drop this on the Discord so we can see. This is so great.
I have no idea where that is. That's probably lost to time or some vault somewhere. Cool. But yeah, those are my two big TV claims to fame right there.
that's incredible. That's incredible stuff. Were you more nervous the second time, or when you were on TV when they asked you about like what you like about Harry Potter, or were you more nervous when you were hiding behind the check?
Probably the check, because at least with the TV thing, I was still nervous. Right. With the Potter thing, I was still nervous, but I at least said something. But that's probably the answer right there. But
he's a wizard. He's a wizard. That's my wife's favorite book. Favorite movie book. So she talks about a lot of the area, but no, that's amazing. I'm just picturing it now.
I've come a long way. I've come a long way, baby. But anyway, today we are playing TV theme songs. Simple as that. Now, most of our shows here today, they will skew 90s onward. Yep. Given our age ranges here, but we do have a few 80s shows in there too. And really, there are just way too many great TV themes to pick from. Especially if you watch a lot of TV like I do. But yeah, we have 8 picks each. A play-out song at the end as well. Angry, you are the guest. You'll go first. What's your first pick?
All right, my first pick is a show that I started watching in like 2010. I feel like the show had 2 waves. Like when it first came out in mid-90s, and then around like late 2000s when it hits Nick at Night. And so, 16-year-old me had never heard of The Nanny. But the first time I saw, Fran Dresser, it was like late at night, and flipping channels, and I see her for the first time. I kept the remote as it is. I'm like, who is this? What is this? And then I started watching The Nanny, and it's a great show. And when I heard the intro, I'm instantly hooked. So that was my first choice because I feel like it's a fun start. So that's what I'm picking here. So my first song is from The Nanny.
She was working in a bridal shop in Flushing, Queens, till her boyfriend kicked her out in one of those crushing scenes. What was she to do? Where was she to go? She was out on her fanny. So over the bridge from Flushing to the Sheffield's door, she was there to sell makeup, but the father saw more. She had style, she had flair, she was there. That's how she became the nanny. Who would have guessed that the girl we described was just exactly what the doctor prescribed? Now the father finds her beguiling. Watch out, CC. And the kids are actually smiling. Such joie de vivre. She's the lady in red when everybody else is wearing tan. The flashy girl from Flushing, the nanny named Fran.
Yeah, I think the first thing I think of is like, I feel like this is such an upscale like production. Like I feel like this is like pretty classical. You hear like the piano, like din, 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 and then like the lyrics are very like very catchy. I feel like whenever I listen to this theme, I I always envision like if the nanny was like a Broadway musical. I think I think it's ironic I say Broadway because it's in New York. I could just picture whoever is like playing, whoever is the cast, like them singing this song, and like there's a lot of chaos happening in the background. You got Niles trying to wrestle the kids, and Mr. Sheffield's running around. Like it just feels like kind of like the intro of like a Hollywood, of like a Broadway production. And I think that's something I really like about it, because again, I mean that does fit the theme of the show. Like, you know, the Sheffield family is very, very rich. They're very affluent. So then here comes this girl from Queens who is not affluent, very streetwise, but super charismatic. I think also fits. I think that's the other thing too that comes away. Like this song is just brimming with personality, and I think that perfectly fits the lead. Like Fran Dresser is that way, and she is absolutely such a charismatic force in this show. So yeah, and this is one of those themes where it immediately catches you, I think, and it immediately caught me. I think it's one of the things I really liked about the show.
Yeah, you picked a real banger to start off here with, very snazzy, very upbeat. Anne Hampton Calloway is who wrote it and performed it, along with her sister Liz Calloway.
Huh.
And it's a great example of a classic sitcom theme trope, which is the theme that explains the premise of the show.
Yes.
You know, Gilligan's Island, The Brady Bunch, Beverly Hillbillies, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And yeah, here we have the story of Fran Fine, who gets kicked out by her boyfriend, goes to this rich house to sell makeup, and ends up becoming a nanny to these three kids. And I have to say that, I mean, the speed with which the story is conveyed is amazing. I mean, the song is 45 seconds long.
Yes.
And they managed to cram in all of it with like Andre 3000 levels of quickness there. Yes. Yeah, it's an amazing skill to have, Angry.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's also just the premise of the first episode, because all this happens in the first episode. You see Fran get broken up with. You see her sell the makeup. You see her in the house for the first time. She's talking with the kids. You see Mr. Sheffield for the first time, and you see already their dynamic, and you already know, all right, something's going to happen here. Then, of course, there's CC. There's the rival that's going to be who's pining for Sheffield. You get Niles. Like, yeah, like I love how this theme basically describes the first episode. It's literally that. Which is, yeah. Like, again, like you said, quick pacing and getting a lot out of a little. Did you watch The Nanny when it came out? So this is what, 95? Because this show would have came out like a few months after I was born. Yeah,
not when it came out. I mean, I was very, very young when it aired for the first time, but this was like a regular rerun show in my house. Yeah. I would catch reruns all the time, and yeah, I loved it. You know, Niles the butler and his banter with CC, and you know, Mr. Sheffield and all that. I love the show. And here's the thing: if you were to tell a young Andrew Rich that Fran Drescher would eventually become the president of his union, he might not have believed you, but yeah, Fran was SAG-AFTRA president for a few years there, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I remember a couple years ago in the car with the wife, and you know, she listens to NPR, and they're talking about the strike, and then I hear their union rep, and they're talking, and I just go to my wife like, wait a minute, I know that nasal voice when I hear it. And then I was like, is that Fran? And I immediately was like, all right, I support these people. I gotta say, still to this day, like, Fran's a badass. Still to this day, like, fighting for the rights. Also, still looks great, I think. Still looks great. Still has the charisma and like I mean, that's the thing. Like, the show is anchored around her, and she carries it I think that's why this show and again, I think it's cool that this show had two different waves, where when it first came out, because it lasted 5 seasons, And then when it goes on Nick at Night, when I think that's where people like me discover the show for the first time. And then, that brief 2010, it was like a mini nanny renaissance. So it's cool that it's kind of lived on in that way.
Mm-hmm. All right, my first pick is another 90s sensation here, although in a much different genre and tone than The Nanny. It's Twin Peaks, the groundbreaking show from David Lynch and Mark Frost. The composer on the show is Angelo Badalamenti, who did the majority of Lynch's projects. Oh, Angelo, oh, it's beautiful, you're breaking my heart. And yeah, this is the Twin Peaks theme. Yeah, so that is actually an instrumental of the song Falling by Julie Cruz, which Badalamenti wrote the music for and David Lynch wrote the lyrics for, which is pretty cool. And talk about, a Pavlovian response. I mean, those first notes, down, down, down. I mean, I hear that and my ears immediately perk up. It's such an iconic, theme song, an iconic riff, just those few notes. And when those airy synths come in, it's like it picks you up and it takes you away into this world. It's very dreamlike and soothing and beautiful. I mean, the genre is literally called dream pop, but it's also a little unsettling too and threatening because of that guitar tone, and that's Twin Peaks. It's this beautiful, picturesque small town with an underlying darkness to it, and that feeling is all throughout the show. It's the basis of the show, and what sets everything in motion, which is the murder of Laura Palmer, the homecoming queen, and those feelings are also all throughout David Lynch's whole oeuvre, pretty much. So, I figured I'd start us off here with a real, legendary theme song here, Angry.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Dream. That's the thing I thought of. Dreamlike. I think I also put haunting but beautiful. Like, in some way, it reminded me. I don't know why this. It reminded me of like Aerith theme from Final Fantasy VII, and the same way of like it's haunting but beautiful. There's like something about, like just like it stays one steady beat. Like you said, the synth. You hear the doom doom. I think whenever I watch this show, I always try to think of it in the mindset of like I'm watching it from like 1990 eyes, because that's when the show came out. And you could just see how this is just like ahead of its time. Like this doesn't, like even the intro, like it doesn't sound like anything that's on at the time. And I think there's something about, we're probably gonna talk about this a lot, but themes that not only encapsulate the show but also set the tone. And this theme sets the tone for this show. And I think, it's unfortunate that, around that time, like there was a lot of network pressure, which leads to the murder getting wrapped up way before they wanted to. But yeah, stuff like how like innovative they were with this theme, and then also that carries over into like the structure of the show. Like you can see why this show to this day has not only just a cult following, but I feel like just about any show that has some air of mystery or anything or intrigue, there is a Twin Peaks reference in some way. It could be you know?
Yeah, I mean, this was a phenomenon, this show. And yeah, even though it's only 2 seasons, and then later on 3 seasons with the revival, the return, about a decade ago on Showtime, even with those shortened seasons, and even with, the caveat of there's a sizable dip in quality throughout a large chunk of season 2, even with all of that, this is still, one of the most influential shows of all time, really. And to show you how much of a big deal this show was, I mean, this song won a Grammy for Best Pop Instrumental. So this was big. I recommend people also check out the regular version with Julie Cruz, because her voice is also really ethereal and dreamlike itself. It adds another layer of haunting beauty to the thing. This song is, it's going to be immortal. I mean, even though all 3 of these people are sadly now gone, Lynch, Angelo, and Julie Cruz, this song will always have this cultural touchstone, for a very, very long time, Angry.
Yeah. To put a bow on this, I was curious for you, what do you think is like the one defining trait about this show that has made it so influential? Would you say it's the theme? Would you say it's like what they covered, the structure, the way it was presented? If you had
maybe just the boldness of it all.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're taking a murder mystery and you're adding, the Black Lodge and the White Lodge and the Red Room and this dwarf who talks backwards and, all these strange things going on. I mean, they're not doing that in other cop shows. That's for sure. Right. It was a really bold take, which again, David Lynch, the man's boldness is one of his defining, characteristics.
Yeah.
I'd say just how out there it went for a show of its time is certainly, I think, if not its most lasting legacy, probably.
For sure. I would agree with that. And I guess we're gonna tease what's coming later, but there's gonna be a couple cop shows we're probably gonna talk about. It'll be interesting to compare and contrast Twin Peaks and the couple other cop shows we're gonna bring up in terms of how bold they were in terms of presentation and not just storytelling, but also music. Because this comes right after a couple other ones. It comes before one that we're going to talk about a little bit, and then there's one that comes up after this that I think also continues that theme. Also, I think, side note, I think one theme that I considered that I didn't was Homicide: Life on the Street. That comes around the same time too. Also a cop show, similar boldness. So it's cool that Twin Peaks was kind of a part of this, and it's interesting how it was through cops,
Mm-hmm. All right, Angry, what you got next?
All right, so we're gonna go through a tonal shift here, but we're gonna keep the same theme of, I would say, boldness and innovativeness. This is actually a comedy. This 1990. We're gonna go straight to first introduction to Keenan, Damon, Marlon, Sean. You may know them, the Wayans brothers. We're talking In Living Color. So the intro was by Heavy D, rest in peace. And I feel like it's one of the most iconic theme songs of all time.
In living color.
The moon float like a balloon. You see, it's never too late and it's never too soon. Take it from me, it's alright to be
in living color.
And how would you feel knowing prejudice was obsolete and all mankind danced to the exact beat? And at night it was safe to walk down the street
in living color. In living color.
You can do what you want
in living color.
Everybody here is equally kind.
In living
What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine.
In living color.
And how would you feel knowing everybody was different from thin to thick?
So yeah, in Living Color, one of the most iconic theme songs. I mean, you talk about a theme that instantly grabs you. When you hear that din 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 din, you're immediately like, what is this? I think also just visually the intro, like it's bright. All the cast, especially season 1, all the cast, they're like in this white room and they have all this paint and they're like throwing stuff and they're throwing different paint and it's so expressive. I think that's indicative of the lyrics, right? You know, Heavy D is, you can, it literally says you can do what you want in living color. This show was created obviously by Keenan Wayans. He gets offered by Fox in the late 80s. Cause he was, he had done some really good stuff and they offered him the chance to do a show and he looked at SNL and said, I want to do something like that, but I want the cast to be predominantly black. And, so that's where, this is the first time we get to see the Wayans brothers, see all of them. You get Damon later, Sean and Marlon. Obviously, those guys do great stuff. There's also where, Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Rosie Perez, J-Lo, they all start from here. Keenan recruited Jim Carrey and Jamie Foxx. But yeah, like, I think this is one of those shows where, like, the minute you hear, like, this is a cool show. You got Heavy D, you hear the lyrics, you got the dancing in the studio. It was ahead of its time, I think, also just for, like, black humor. Like, I'm black, so I grew up, and a lot of the stuff that, we joke about is from this show. I think it comes at an interesting time because this is, like, either right after Cosby or before Cosby. And, Cosby is that type of humor was very, like, inoffensive. And Living Color is very offensive and very in a type of black culture way. So I think the theme song encapsulates the song. You can do what you want, like the freedom that Fox gave Keenan to do this show, and I think that's reflective in the theme.
Yeah, I mean the late 80s / early 90s fumes wafting off this song are quite overpowering. Mm-hmm. There's no denying at all when this is from. But to be fair, I mean, if you want to help distinguish your show from SNL, which is the preeminent sketch show going, then having a different kind of theme song will do that. Instead of the jazzy saxophones of the SNL theme, you got hip-hop beats, you got Heavy D, you have lyrics in the song that talk about equality and friendship and how good it is to be in living color. Mm-hmm. It does sound dated, of course, but at the time, it's certainly unique compared to the competition, Angry.
Yeah. Do you know why it's called In Living Color?
Well, part of it, obviously, is because most of the cast is people of color.
So that's part of it. It's a double entendre. Keenan took it from... So, like, in the 60s, when NBC was broadcasting shows, because, things were in color, the tagline was...
In living color, yeah.
Yeah, that was the tagline. Yeah, it was this being broadcast in living color on NBC. So that's the predominant reason why Keenan used that as the theme, along with the people of color. This show's also, not only was it influential sketch-wise, but, I don't know if people know this, but the reason why... you watch the Super Bowl and you have a halftime show, like, you get like Kendrick or whatnot. It's because of this show. Because, what was it, 91 or 92? I forget who was the musical guest for NFL. I forget who was for the Super Bowl. Living Color does like their own halftime show. And ratings-wise, they did better than the NFL. So the NFL looked at that and said, this can't happen anymore. So then the next year they get Michael Jackson. And then that's how you get the halftime show that we all know and love now. So Living Color innovated that too. Like, it provoked the NFL to beef up their halftime show for the Super Bowl.
How about that? And yeah, I mean, you mentioned the names again: the Wayans, Jim Carrey, David Allen Greer, Tommy Davidson, Jamie Foxx. You had the Fly Girls, the dancers, as you said, with Jennifer Lopez there, Rosie Perez, the choreographer. So this was a real launching pad for some big names. I mean, I'm sure plenty of that stuff has not aged well,
No.
but not all comedy does, nor should it. You know, some comedy should just be of its time, and if it's, you know, color tug worthy now, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So there you go. But all right, my next pick here, again, going to stay in the 90s with a cartoon show that I loved as a kid. I loved this show a lot. It aired on Nickelodeon, and the show is called Kablam! Exclamation point. And the theme song for Kablam was an instrumental of a song by this band called the Toasters, called Two-Tone Army. And I have the regular version of it here to play. So let's hear Two-Tone Army by the Toasters.
There's a new bomb that's going around, gonna blast shockwaves all over your town. Take your own system and knock it down with a 90s beat on a 50s sound. They're wearing bomber flats, combat boots, skater pants and 60s suits. In a lifestyle that's hard to refute. It's a modern look, but it's all about roots. Two-tone army, two-tone army, two-tone army. Don't need no member to let yourself in. You don't need no language and color and skin.
So Kablam was one of the shows that I just obsessed over as a little kid. First was Blue's Clues, and then eventually became like SpongeBob and Hey Arnold or whatever, and those shows. But Kablam was appointment viewing for me. Now the intro, as I said, used an instrumental of that song with a voiceover, and all these years later, I can still rattle off the opening narration by heart. Assume the crash position. Hold on tight. Take a deep breath for a new kind of cartoon show. It's Kablam! Where cartoons and comics collide. Now to take you inside and turn the pages, here are your hosts, Henry and June. And it only dawned on me a few years ago that this song is ska. Because I didn't know what ska was when I was a kid. I just liked the song, you know, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. But now I know that this is, you know, as ska as it gets, pretty much.
Yes.
I mean, there's even a pick it up in there too. And as someone who is not a general ska fan, it was a real shock realizing that the opening theme of one of my most beloved shows, as well as the closing theme, which was another Toasters song, and also the background music of the show, it was all ska. I mean, I was shook, as the kids say, Angry.
Yeah, I was. That's literally in my notes. I was gonna bring up how, this is a prominent Sky song. This band actually, I think by the time we get to Kablam, they're like on their third lineup. Because Toasters originated in '81. Do you want to guess who they opened for? It was another classic ska band. Do you want to guess?
Is it like, were they too early for No Doubt? I feel like
They were way too
might have
early
opened
for
for them. Okay, it's got to be the 80s. Oh, Madness. Is it Madness?
It was not Matt. It was Bad Brains.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Prominent. So I feel like, this theme, I feel like this is an underrated gem. I feel like for a while, Kablam fell on the radar. Still does, I think, because this is all, I feel like I consider this on the same tier as like In Living Color, where they're both sketch shows. And so I think they're in the same range. And I thought it was again, pretty innovative with different skits. I'm curious. I mean, this is, I ask you this. Do you consider this a spinoff off of all that? Because it's predominantly known as a spinoff. But what do you think? Do you think, because originally that's where the skits originate. It originated in like little inserts on all that. Then it gets its own show. Do you consider it a spin-off then?
I mean, I know technically it is a spin-off, but I've always seen these as two separate things, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, Kablam kind of took precedence over all that.
Yeah.
And I like all that, but Kablam was where it's at, and you're right. It is a sketch show. It's an anthology show with all these different types of cartoonists and creators and art types. So I can definitely see why they went with ska, like this, hip, cool sound.
Yes.
And to this day, when I hear it, it still brings back all these memories of, Prometheus and Bob and Sniz and Fondue, Life with Loopy, The Brothers Tiki, and of course, Action League Now, starring the Flesh. He's super strong and super naked. Thunder Girl, she flies like thunder.
Yes.
Stinky Diver, a former Navy commando with an attitude as bad as his odor.
Yes.
And Melt Man with the power to melt. It's all still up there. I haven't forgotten a second of it, Angry. So
yeah. Do you think this show would work now? I feel like I was thinking about this show. I feel like shows like this are kind of missed, like where again, like you said, like the different types of animation that they presented. So again, it's very innovative in that way, but it's also like it's not like heavy. It's like, but not like super goofy either. I feel like there's like a void of like kind of shows like this where they're just like, you could put this on. It's great. And it's not like mindless, but it's really fun. So yeah, do you think this show would fit now?
I would hope so. I mean, I don't have kids, but I imagine in today's media landscape, it's a little different than it was when I was, a little kid.
Yeah.
Given, how many different distractions that kids now have in terms of phones and tablets and stuff like that. I mean, you can't beat Bluey. I mean, Bluey is the king apparently these days. So, yes. It's going to be tough to match up to that. But, in my heart, I hope that, if it was around today, kids would watch it. So I'm glad you brought up Bluey. Bluey's not bad. I mean, I've had to babysit some people. Bluey's not, I feel like I could see Bluey existing in Kablam. The amount of adults I've seen be like, I love Bluey so much,
Yeah.
I know why it's a big hit for sure. So
yeah, I never made the connection of Kablam and Bluey, but yeah, like in a slight way, yeah, I could totally see Bluey existing in a Kablam skit. I could totally see it. For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you picked it because Kablam is an underrated gem, and this song is great.
Yeah, love it a lot. All right, Angry, what you got next?
Speaking of gems, I would say this show is maybe over the last 20 years, maybe one of the biggest cult followings. So I'm talking about Veronica Mars. And so if you talk about Veronica Mars, we have to talk about the intro. We used to be friends by the Daily World. I feel like it's one of those songs where you've probably heard it at least once.
It's the Dandy Warhols.
Yeah, the Dandy Warhols. My bad. Yeah. You've probably heard this song at least once because it is a very memorable song. And this was honestly the first song I thought of when Rich asked me out. So yeah. We used to be friends. This is my next pick.
A long time ago, we used to be friends, but I haven't thought of you lately at all. If ever again, a greeting I send to you, short and sweet to the soul I intend. said, or someone I know, or you called me up, maybe I wasn't home. Now everybody needs some time.
I feel like there's certain shows where the theme song and the show are symbiotic. They're like in a marriage. I feel like you can't have Veronica Mars without We Used to Be Friends. You can't talk about We Used to Be Friends without thinking about Veronica Mars. I feel like this is one of those themes that fits so perfectly. If someone told you that they wrote Veronica Mars because of this song, you wouldn't be surprised. It's in the title. We used to be friends. It fits perfectly with the plot. Veronica used to be friends with the popular crowd. And then all of a sudden, her best friend, Lily Kane, gets murdered. Her dad, Veronica's dad, who's a cop, believes that it is, her best friend's brother, who's dating Veronica, thinks he's the culprit. It leads to Veronica coming from not being a popular person to now she's like on the outskirts. And so, yeah, this song gives that kind of gritty vibe, that kind of feeling of like, I wouldn't say regret, but kind of this feeling of like disillusionment, We used to be friends a long time ago. What happened? And yes, perfectly sets the scene for this show that, particularly season 1. I think season 1, I can't think of many shows season-wise from start to finish that was perfect. And I think the pilot too, I would think Veronica Mars is one of the best pilots ever. And I think there's a reason why this show, 22 years later, is still such a prominent cult following. I think this song is actually a big part of that too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I recently did a Veronica Mars rewatch because it got on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard this song quite a bit, or at least the 30-second edit for the intro. And I in my notes as well, you were dead on here. They picked the right part of the song to focus on, in terms of we used to be friends a long time ago and all that. And Veronica's now an outsider, and she's sarcastic, she's spunky, doesn't take crap from anybody, and I think that comes across in the song as well. And yeah, it's just a really catchy song too, which helps. That really helps a lot. And then in season 3, they change it into this sparse piano version, kind of make it more noir-ish, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was hearing this song a lot for a few months there, Angry. So it's kismet that it was on here for sure. So
yeah, I remember reading about how Rob Thomas picked this song. I guess he had a list of songs. And every month he would whittle it down. And then eventually he had his music editor just slice a 30-second clip of each song. And when he heard this song, he was like, this has to be it. I feel like one of the striking things about this show is just how Rob Thomas, he's the creator, his eye for talent. First picking this, recognizing that this song is perfect for this show. And then I think the other thing when you watch Veronica Mars is just the amount of cameos and talent that just show up on this show right before they get big. Obviously, Kristen Bell, she breaks out. She is the breakout of the show. She comes out of nowhere, and within the first few minutes of the show, you realize this is going to be a star. But then just think about you get Aaron Paul shows up in an episode. He's prominent. You get Jessica Chastain in an episode right before she gets big. Christian Ritter's a recurring character. Tessa Thompson's is a main character in season 2. Adam Scott is in this show in season 1 right before he does Parks and Recs and Party Down. So I feel like this theme actually is just a big part of Rob Thomas's eye for talent, and why I think another great thing about this show is he just can. Amanda Seyfried shows up right before, this is right around the time Mean Girls, and she's instantly pops off the screen. So I think that's what this theme represents to me is just the collective eye for talent that Rob Thomas had with this show.
Yeah, once again, you stole my notes here. I mean, I was going to say how much of a neat time capsule this was of the mid 2000s, not just with the fashion and the hairstyles and the flip phones and whatnot, but the actors too. I mean, there were a lot of big names on that show before they were big names. Along with Kristen Bell, you had Amanda Seyfried on there. You had Kyle Gallner on there, Tessa Thompson, Leighton Meester, Michael Cera pops up in an episode. Adam Scott, Aaron Paul, Jessica Chastain, Kristen
Anderson's
Ritter
in an episode. Like, it's really like a who's who.
Yeah, Paris Hilton. I mean,
Paris Hilton,
the stars were coming out for sure for this.
Alyssa
thing,
Harrington,
so.
like right after she did Charm and right before she did How I Met Your Mother, she's a recurring character on that show. Max Greenfield, Smith from
New Girl. Yeah,
New Girl. Yeah, he's a recurring character again before New Girl. So it's a great time capsule and also just a great show.
Definitely. Well, my next pick, also a detective show, in that similar vein here. This one a little bit more recent. It was on from 2008 to 2016, but it was a British show, so it was like that thing where it had like 3 episodes a season, and there were 2 years between seasons and whatnot. That whole shindig. It was a show called Wallander, starring Kenneth Branagh, and it was based on a Swedish book series. And the theme song for the show was by a musician named Emily Barker and her band, the Red Clay Halo. And this is a song called Nostalgia.
12,000 miles away from your smile. I'm 12,000 miles away from me. Standing on the corner of Brunswick. Got the rain coming down and mascara on my cheek. Oh, whisper me words in the shape of a babe. Shelter my love from the wind and the waves. Crow fly, be my alibi, and return this fable on your wing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song. Not the kind of song that you would think of for, a run-of-the-mill detective show. It's this folky ballad with the piano and the acoustic guitar and the fiddle in there. It has a real melancholic tone to it, a longing, I suppose. But it's perfect for this show because it's set in Sweden, filmed in Sweden. So you have all these, beautiful landscapes and settings. But the story is about these, really grisly crimes and murders. And the main character, Kurt Wallander, who Kenneth Branagh plays, he's, burdened by the job, and his dad has Alzheimer's. So, much like Twin Peaks, there is a darkness mixed in the beauty. So it's that kind of vibe there, Angry.
Yeah, this was the one I was most excited for because up until I saw the list, I had never heard of this. So I have so many questions. But I did listen to the song. Yeah, it was interesting. If you look up Emily Barker, there's like an 18-minute little interview where they talk about recording this song because she just recorded this. They made this song just not expecting anything. Then when the show comes out, this gets used, and then this becomes a hit. So it was cool hearing her talk about like what went into the song. And yeah, I agree. Like, I think I sense a theme where it's Wallander or like Twin Peaks, where their intros are very like atmospheric, right? Because I feel like, again, similar thing, right? Steady beat. You just hear like her lyrics are very like raw, and it feels very somber. And I get the sense that you think, as someone who has watched the show, I'm really intrigued because when I was looking up research for this, anything with Kenneth Branagh, I'm in. I used to love Kenneth Branagh. I love Shakespeare. I used to when I did Brit literature like 15 years ago in high school. That was my first introduction to him. I just saw Devils Wear Prada too, so he's in that too.
Okay.
So you would say this theme fits the tone of the show?
I would, yeah. I mean, the intro, it's not like Twin Peaks where it's, nature shots. It's basically just Kenneth Branagh's, faces and close-ups.
Yeah.
But the somberness and I guess the heaviness, not in terms of the music, but in terms of like the tone and the vibe, I think certainly fits. But yeah, great show. Again, 3 episodes a season. Each episode is 90 minutes each, so it's like 3 movies a piece. And the funny thing is, it's based on a Swedish book series, but it's a British show, so all the actors are British and speaking English. And it was actually the first place that I saw Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah,
before he was Loki.
He's in this.
Yeah, he was on that show before Loki. He was on the show, and Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor movie, so it ties together there. So yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting too is Emily Barker is Australian, so they're just pulling out different. So it's cool to see like different cultures like meet up to create this very this very like beautiful yet somber and like I wouldn't say depressing, but just very, I would say, melancholy. That's the impression I get, that this is a very like melancholic show, and just the premise you're saying like. With the cop, like with his dad who's dealing with Alzheimer's. I mean, that hits pretty home because I've shared on Discord. My wife, her dad just died of Alzheimer's, so I could just imagine what that would be like. It has me interested, and when I heard the theme, I was like, when I'm done with the show, I definitely want to watch it because again, I think that's something that one of the beauties of a great theme song is that it can get you hooked onto the show. And this got me hooked into the show. I'm gonna check this out.
Oh, that's awesome, definitely. All right, Angry, what is your next pick there?
All right, we're going to another cop show, and again, we're going to go to a very tonal shift. Think about going from Emily Barker to Jan Hammer. We're going to Miami, baby. Get your pink shirt. Get your Armani suit. We're going to Miami Vice, baby. I think the 2 words that come to mind when I think of this song is explosive and intoxicating. Like as soon as like it's a slow little build with the doom, 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 and then once the beat drops, we're like in it. And I think that describes this show where it's all it's fast. I mean it's literally there's just so much like brimming of personality. It feels very bright, and again like. This show, we were talking about Twin Peaks beforehand and how like experimental this was. Miami Vice is in many ways kind of like the originator in terms of like music, in terms of how like Michael Mann used just visually. Like his premise for this show was that this comes around the same time MTV starts, and he sees how people are reacting to like Michael Jackson videos and whatnot. And he instantly recognizes that this is the future. And so when he crafts Miami Vice, he's like, what if I made like a cop show that was like in the form of like a music video? That's kind of what Miami Vice is. Like I said, bright lights, everything is flashy. Like the cops are, they're undercover, but Armani suits. So yeah, I mean, goes to saying this is one of the most influential shows of all time. This song in particular was number one in the billboards. So if you want to know how much this theme got big, it's because this show was a phenomenon. This show was was unlike anything people saw, and the theme fit that. When they heard this theme, they're like, "What is this?"
Yeah, I mean, it's the epitome of 80s cool, fashion, the cars, the style, and the music. It all screamed, this is what's cool, this is what's trendy. It's not detectives in overcoats and fedoras. Yeah, it's guys in white Armani suits and sunglasses and Lamborghinis and cocaine and all that fun stuff. And an 80s synth rock theme with some, badass guitar licks. It has a little bit of mystery to it, a little bit of menace to it and zip to it. A perfect fit, and like you said, yeah, number one in the Billboard charts. It also won Grammys as well. So yeah, this was a real big hit for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this theme and this show to this day is still influential. I mean, I still think, it put Miami on the map, I would say, in terms of a city. Like, I think when people think of Miami, they think of Miami Vice. I mean, Vice City came out like 20 years later, which was also a big deal, but Vice City is just inspired by Miami Vice. Even like the characters, like Crockett and Tubbs, like two of the coolest cops of all time. Like you have Don Johnson and whatnot. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking about, like Twin Peaks. I feel like these two, because this show comes out in '84, Twin Peaks comes out in 1990. I always wonder how much Twin Peaks, in terms of their bold approach, came from Miami Vice's bold approach. Because if we're talking music, like you can't talk about Miami Vice without talking about the needle drop. Like that's everyone knows what a needle drop is. And the first episode of this show, the very infamous needle drop of "In the Air," Phil Collins, when they're about to go on the car ride, shit has gone down. They may not survive this, and just for that 1 minute where no dialogue, they're just playing in the air, like, it was groundbreaking. And yeah, they're gonna make a movie. They're gonna make another one with like Michael B. Jordan next year. But yeah, like this, I feel like this is like Twin Peaks. This is gonna be one of those shows that probably lives on. I mean, it's been 40 years and it's still culturally relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, music was such a huge part of the show in general. You look on the Wikipedia page for it, and the list of bands that had music featured in the show, it's Phil Collins, it's Duran Duran, Pink Floyd, U2, Kate Bush, Depeche Mode, The Smiths, Foreigner, Iron Maiden. The list goes on. And again, if you want to make your show seem trendy and hip and with it, having the big rock bands and pop stars of your day and the big rising stars of your day on the show is the way to go, for sure.
It's a show that had their finger on the pulse. And especially those first couple of years. I don't know if I can think of a show that had their finger on the pulse of, like, not just of pop culture, but not just we have our finger on the pulse, but we're also when this show drops, this is going to influence things more than Miami Vice. And I think that's one of the legacies of Michael Mann, just a visual genius, Between this, you get Heat, Mindhunter, other things. Like, he just has this knack for being able to visually encapsulate his vision, but do it in such an innovative way.
Mm-hmm. All right, my next pick. This is another recent-ish show for me, and a show that Angry and I will gush about, I'm sure.
Yes.
This is *Halt and Catch Fire* on AMC. Now, the main composer on the show was Paul Haslinger, but the theme was done by the Danish artist Trentemøller. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure.
I think yes.
Trentemøller. But yeah, this is the *Halt and Catch Fire* theme. Yeah, this was a given. I mean, it was actually the reason that I picked Angry for this episode because he and I bonded in the Discord over loving the show.
Yes.
And it was a show about the PC boom of the 80s and the Silicon Prairie. That's how it starts anyway, and then it shifts over to computer games and the early days of the internet and all that. But it's about computers, and naturally, the theme song is a bunch of beeps and boops. But those beeps and boops mean something to me, damn it. Like, I hear that dee doo dee doo down 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 boop boop boop, and it brings me back to the good old days of Lee Pace and Scoop McNairy and Mackenzie Davis, Carrie Bechet, Toby Huss, all our friends palling around. And yeah, the way it just kind of crescendos as well. It gets kind of busier and busier and more energetic and exciting. Kind of like, the computer is loading up, you might say. Technology is advancing and getting faster and faster. So yeah, I had to pick this one just on principle, Angry. Yeah. So
I mean, we both had the same idea of the reason why I didn't put it on my list because I know Rich is going to put it on, so we were on the same wavelength. To me, I've said this is the best show that no one watched in the 2010s. This show was on for 4 years, had 4 seasons, was never a big hit, and yet it stayed on. One, because this is at the peak of Walking Dead and Breaking Bad and Mad Men, so AMC could afford to let a show that wasn't highly watched kind of be on the payroll because it was also critically acclaimed. It's interesting because when I think of the theme, I think of the boop boop doop doop. To me, it fits the show because the show is to me it encapsulates thinking and tinkering, and that's what these guys are. Lee Pace plays Joe McMillan. He's a visionary. He has anytime he's in the room, he's got a plan. He's got an idea. He's this is how we're going to do it. And he's very bold and he's very confident. And sometimes that backfires on him. But throughout the show, I think it's these 4 people they're on the brink of discovering something or making something big, and then just something gets in the way, and then someone else takes it, and then that person becomes rich and famous. So I love how the theme kind of represents kind of the process of of struggling, trying to think of something, trying to be innovative, coming up with an idea, kind of how it escalates, and then kind of for whatever reason it doesn't really work out, and yet you have to find kind of meeting. But yeah, it's an incredible show. I cannot speak enough about it, and it's in my top 5 for sure. Best shows ever.
Yeah, it's a show that was destined to be discovered later on after it stopped airing. One of those kinds of shows. Because you're right, highly acclaimed, 4 seasons, each one better reviews than the previous one. But it didn't have the audience. It wasn't this cultural juggernaut like other AMC shows were, like Breaking Bad, like Walking Dead, like Mad Men especially. I mean, the reason why I watched this show and gave it a shot is because it was on AMC, and because AMC had that track record of Breaking Bad, of Walking Dead, of Mad Men, and then soon enough, Better Call Saul, and Hell on Wheels even. I love that show too. Yep. But this, as much as we love it, it's more in the class of a show like Lodge 49, also on AMC, which was also a really great show where the audience is much smaller, but I think the passion for it is still pretty intense, Angry. So,
yeah, I also think season 1 probably plays a role in too. I think season 1's good, but you can definitely tell it's a show that's trying to figure itself out. And I think as much as I love Lee Pace, I think he is incredible in this show. And it also comes at a really good time for him because Guardians of the Galaxy comes out 2 months after this, and Guardians was a out of nowhere hit. He's the main villain. He's Ronan the Accuser. Then he gets this show, and definitely season 1 is for sure positioned for him to be the lead. And I think one knock on it is, Joe McMillan is very Don Draper-esque. And what's funny is the creators of Halt and Catch Fire, they admitted that afterwards of Mad Men was on at the time, and we got a lot of inspiration from that. I think when the show really takes off is season 2, when they shift the focus from Joe McMillan is the orbit of everything to now it's more of an ensemble cast. And you can even argue that honestly, Donna and Cameron, they are the leads. Once they shifted from Jill to the 2 female leads trying to create their own company, Mutiny, that's when the show takes off. And I think from that point on, that's when it gets really good. 2 is great. Then 3 is even better. So I think even the show kind of mirrors the theme song of tinkering, trying to figure out what works, and then finding it, and then just accelerating from there.
Building and building, and away you go. Much like with technology and all that stuff. Very, very astute. Very astute for sure. So,
what's your favorite season of this show?
Geez, I mean, I've only watched it once, but I haven't gone back for a rewatch yet. But I mean, like I said, it gets
Pluto.
better every season, really. So
you can watch it on Pluto.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, they have their own AMC channel. It comes on from like I would say 3 to 9, but it'll go in order. And yeah, it's randomly I think earlier this year, I'm like, wait, is this Halt and Catch Fire? And I was like, all right, I gotta watch it again. But yeah, but I think for me, season 2. I mean, 3 and 4 are great. I think I just love season 2 because you can see that I always love when a show figures itself out. And 2 is when it's we know who we are, we know what we want this to be, and in real time, it's holy shit! All right, we're hitting another gear. So yeah, 2's my favorite season.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to rewatch to figure it out because it's been a while since I've seen it. So
for sure, once you do, let me know.
Yeah,
go watch the show too. For anyone that's never seen this show, you can watch. It's on Pluto. I think it's on Tubi. Tubi has everything, but it's definitely on Pluto. I think it's on demand. So if you go on Pluto, you can watch this show. Mm-hmm. Because it's a show that should be watched, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right, Angry, what do you got next?
We're gonna go to a show that was watched and was very popular. Slightly different tone. It just recently came back. So I'm talking Scrubs. And so if you're talking Scrubs, you got to talk about the song, Superman by Laszlo Baines. So, when I was asked to do this was another song that instantly came to mind. This has to be on the list. So, yeah. So the next pick is Superman.
Just in time, head down the 405. Gotta meet the new boss by 8 a.m. The phone rings in the car. The wife is working hard. She's running late tonight again. Well, I know what I've been told. You gotta work to feed the soul. But I can't do this all on my own. No, I know I'm no Superman. I'm no Superman. And you've got your love online.
If We Used to Be Friends is synonymous and symbiotic to Veronica Mars, Superman is symbiotic and married to Scrubs. Honestly, I can't think of a perfect song for this show. And it was funny is the way it got discovered, it was by Zach Braff. He watched this movie in 2000s called The Tao of, I think it's Zach. It's this
The Tao of Steve.
Steve, that's what it was. It's this kind of funny romantic comedy, and on the soundtrack is this song. Zach Braff hears it, and he's like, "This song is perfect for the show." So he pitches it to Bill Lawrence, who still to this day puts out great stuff. He did Shrinking, this show. There's another one.
Rooster with Steve Carell.
She takes care of everyone else. This Mother's Day, give her something that takes care of her. Garden is the smart indoor growing system that brings the farmer's market right to her kitchen. It's fully automated, meaning it handles the lighting and watering itself. No soil, no heavy lifting, and no mess. Just vibrant greens, fresh herbs, and beautiful flowers at her fingertips, 365 days a year. It's more than a gift, it's a daily dose of me time. Give her the gift that keeps on growing at mygarden.com. That's MYGARDYN.com. Garden. Harvest happiness.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Oh, which,
that's going right now. Yeah,
good show. Good show. Yeah.
Yeah, just a prolific in terms of TV production. So yeah, so Zach Braff pitches this song. It's like, this has to be the song. And it's funny, the band initially, Laszlo, they were like, I don't know, but then I think through talking with Zach Braff, he convinced them to pick this song. I think that was the right move for them, because to me, this is their most noticeable song. What's funny is, like, when you watch Scrubs, this song is you only get like 10 seconds, but you get the most important part, which is, I think, the bridge. And I think this song is a good blend of the show. Like, it's goofy, it's kind of upbeat. Like, you get a banjo. The banjo is pretty, but even there's some vulnerability, right? Like, in the lyrics, but I know I can't do this on my own. I know I'm no Superman. I mean, that's the life of a healthcare worker. That's the life of being a nurse or a doctor. And I think it perfectly describes the show. Like, it's feel good. There's definitely some somber moments. There's definitely some moments of vulnerability. But you get a feeling of, like, there's like a heroism to this song. Like, this feels like a very heroic song, and a really unique, fun, really good song. Yeah. And I think I honestly think it's one of the best theme songs for a TV show in the last 25 years, just because of how perfectly it matches the song and how catchy it is, and it's how iconic it's become.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned how I had heard the Veronica Mars theme a bunch recently. Same here. I mean, yeah, this show just came back with the revival season 10, and once again, this song has come back into the public sphere. And it's pretty cool. It's the same theme too after all these years, and once again, we're in sync in our analysis here, because yeah, it's an appropriately quirky theme for a quirky show, because even when you only hear like 10 seconds of it for the intro, you got a banjo in there, you got a woo sound. The full version of the song has a harmonica solo, so yeah, it's a bit goofy, but the refrain, I can't do this all on my own, I'm no Superman. Yeah, what better mantra is there for a show about doctors than that? So yeah, great theme, yeah, for sure.
Such a good theme. And the music video is fun, because I think it's cool how Zach Braff, he also directed the music video, which takes place in the hospital, and it's just really just clips of the show. It's really clips of the cast, like, kind of having fun. So I like how I don't know. I always like that relationship of Zach Braff discovering it, giving it his band basically their biggest hit, and just like the marriage of those two, like. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want from a theme. A theme should should prop up the show. And if you hit it right, you get something like this where you can't like honestly, if Scrubs came back and this wasn't the theme song, do you think people would accept it? Probably not.
There'd be riots in the streets, you know.
Yeah, that shows you how effective a great theme song can be.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as the Zach Braff of it all goes, timing-wise, this is great because I just finished reading a book called Such Great Heights by Chris DeVille, which is about the indie rock boom of the 2000s. And part of the book talks about Zach Braff being this tastemaker of sorts because, yeah, he got the theme song for this show. He convinced Laszlo Bain to, approve it and give it to them. But his movie Garden State, I mean, he picked the bands for that soundtrack. And it's The Shins, it's Iron and Wine, Coldplay, 07, and Colin Hay from Men at Work, who would actually go on to cameo in Scrubs, doing his acoustic guitar version of Overkill.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was really in the know as far as the indie rock scene and what was kind of bubbling up there for sure.
I didn't know that I didn't know that part. That's really cool. I mean, that explains a lot. Who would have known? Zach Braff, he is the tastemaker. He's the one. He's checking out these demo CDs. He's like, I like this. Who is this? he's like a college recruiter. He's like he's like Sig Signetti.
Mm-hmm. All right, my next pick here. This is another animated show, although a much more adult one than Kablam was. That's for sure. This is BoJack Horseman on Netflix. And the theme song for this is by Patrick Carney, featuring Ralph Carney. And this is BoJack's theme. So Patrick Carney is one half of the Black Keys, and Ralph Carney is his uncle, who sadly, I believe he died a few seasons into the show. But this is a very un-Black Keys-like song, with the synth and the saxophone in there and all that. And it's real loosey-goosey, just kind of flowing along from here to there, which is appropriate for this show because the main character is a guy, or a horse, I should say, who used to be on a big 90s TV show. He was the horse from Horsin' Around, one of those, standard 90s sitcoms. And now he's older, he's past his peak, just kind of, living off his fame, just kind of flowing along, a bit lost at sea, drinking, depressed, and generally fucked up. And it was a very, very funny show. All the recurring bits and the wordplay and the guest stars, but it was also really dark and sad at times too. And another show here that takes a bit to get going, but it ends up being really great. And the theme song is also really great, Angry. So
yeah, this is one that the theme is great. I always think of like the plucking. I don't know. I always think about like when someone's like swimming. They're going underwater, and they're popping back up, come back underwater. It's kind of like that sound when you bring your head up. I don't know why I think of that when I think of this show. What's to be said about BoJack? I mean, this is something I've thought about. I guess I want to pose to you. When thinking about shows from the 2010s, would you consider this show like maybe the defining show of the 2010s?
I mean, there have been quite a few shows in recent years where it's a comedy. There's jokes, there's laughs, but there's also, a lot of focus on like grief and trauma. I mean, Shrinking, we just mentioned, is a good example of that. And I think BoJack Horseman, was a real trendsetter in that regard. For better or worse, I think a lot of shows followed in that direction of, yeah, there's jokes. There's plenty of jokes in there, but there's a lot of sadness too. It gets very dark and depressing. So, yeah, I think it's, as far as, at least in terms of those kind of shows, this is certainly a big tentpole for sure.
Yeah, that's what I came away with, because I feel like this show, I don't know why I always equate this to Spike TV. Because Spike TV was a big show built on like bro culture, right? Like we're bros, like we're degrading women, we're stuff like that. And then you get BoJack, which is like the complete opposite. Like it's very vulnerable. It's very, like you said, very dark. It's very like psychological. And in a way, I feel like this show comes at a time where culture changes, where we shift away from a lot of bro culture and we shift more into kind of like, we dive more into the jokes. We dive more into like the emotional makeup of someone. And I think BoJack played a big part of that. And that's why I feel like this show, I mean, I think it's considered one of the greatest shows ever. I think at this point, that's not a controversial statement. It's interesting that it was that, like you said, this is the show that becomes that. I think that's one of the geniuses of the show. And the other thing I took away from this was just the initial run from Netflix when they come out with their shows. Like I actually looked this up. I'm just going to go from 2013 when they start to like the summer 2016. They have other good stuff. But in a 3-year span, you get House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. Then you get BoJack, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Daredevil, Narcos, Jessica Jones, and then July 2016, Stranger Things. Just those first 3 shows, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, BoJack. I just feel like those 3 shows were so influential for like the streaming kind of era we have now, like the binge nature, just like the way shows are, like the quality of shows. So I feel like that's the legacy of this show, is that, like you said, it speaks to where society is at now. I think it's innovative in that way, but I also think it might just be, I don't know. I feel like House of Cards that's the first one that puts Netflix on the map. But I feel like BoJack might be the best show Netflix has ever created. I think it's the one that's going to last the most, which is crazy to think about.
Well, it got a complete run at least. I mean,
yes.
The cliche of Netflix canceling shows early or whatever. At least we have a full set here, and the talent behind it. Again, I mean, just a great voice cast. Will Arnett, who's always great. Amy Sedaris, again, always great. Alison Brie, Paul F. Tompkins, Aaron Paul. I mean, those are your starting 5. That's a really great starting 5. And again, guest stars up the wazoo. So yeah, another show where I haven't gone back to watch it, but I'm sure if I did, I enjoyed it as much as I did the first time.
Yeah.
But it's funny, since it's a streaming show, you have that option of skipping the intro. But I never did. No. I always watched it because I love the opening song. But the show also had an end credits song called Back in the 90s by Grouplove.
Yeah,
Back in the
right.
90s, I was on a very famous TV show.
So good.
And every time I would hear the first 10 seconds of that song before I hit next episode. So it always got cut off. Got cut off. So, yeah, no offense to Grouplove, but, that's the convenience of streaming. You don't need to wait, a week for the next episode. It's right there for you.
Yeah.
You hit one button and the next one comes up. So
yeah, and this show was a pioneer in that too. I think the binge model that's how they kind of crafted the show. It's like we're gonna craft like this arc on this character, so you can watch all of it right now. Then we'll do it again. So yeah, this show in so many ways, just from a entertainment standpoint, from like a psychological standpoint, from an animation standpoint, I think it hits all those like bold, innovative. I think that's the theme we've kind of talked about: Twin Peaks, Miami Vice, BoJack, just these shows that take big risks and really have something to say. How those shows, I think, become really timeless. I think all those shows in common talk about the human nature. I think that's something that will never go out of style. And like I said, there's more stuff that we're going to talk about that also talks about that. But I think BoJack is in that lineage of just an influential show in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. All right. What is your next pick there, Angry?
All right. We're going back to Nickelodeon. I talked about how Kablam is technically considered and all that spinoff, which I personally don't consider that either. But this next show is it's this one and there's another one that's a definitive spinoff. So we're going to talk about Kenan and Kel, and the intro is rapped by Coolio.
Oh, here it goes. Everybody out there go run and tell your homeboys and homegirls it's time for Kenan and Kel to keep you laughing in the afternoon, so don't touch that dial, won't read the room, cause they always into something no fun and you don't wanna miss it. It's double K like do the good way, yes. Kenan and Kel, I should've said Kel and Kenan, and you gotta watch Kenan, cause Kenan be scheming with a plan or a plot to make it to the top, but they kinda in the middle, cause they always getting caught. This ain't the Hardy Boys or a Nancy Drew mystery, it's just Kenan and Kel in your vicinity, like Siegfried and Roy or Abbott and Costello, Magic and Kareem or Penn and Teller. Somebody's in trouble, oh here it go, oh Nick.
Similar to In Living Color, where the intro instantly grabs you. I mean, I feel like with this, once Coolio goes, oh here we go, then the beat drops. I mean, instantly you're caught in. I mean, first classic G-Funk West Coast bounce, like it just has such a bounce to it that you're just instantly like, I'm into it. And Coolio's one of the coolest rappers ever, rest in peace. I thought what was also telling is this is also one of those themes where not only is the theme cool, but just the intro is cool. Like just the visual. Like when you watch the theme of Kenan and Kel, like it starts off with like Coolio, Kenan and Kel inside this like metallic globe, and then it cuts to these cool shots like at the nighttime is Coolio next to like this really cool like guitar sign. Then they're like driving down
car.
Driving down the car and there's in the crowd like you watch this intro and you listen to this show, this theme, you're like, I have to watch this. This seems like the coolest thing ever. And yeah, I mean the two prominent spinoffs is Kenan and Kel and the Amanda Show. And they're both sketch shows, but they both have different vibes. This vibe is, I think, similar to In Living Color, which is like, this is cool, this is hip, this is we have our finger on the pulse, and we're gonna grab you. We're gonna grab you. For those who liked all that, who like Kenan and Kel and all their skits, it's just like that. Is Coolio said it itself. Like, this is no Nancy Drew mystery. It's just Kenan and Kel, what you know, and this is the coolest thing. And I remember when this show, I would have caught the reruns because around like when I was 6, it's like 2001, 2002. But yeah, I was just instantly like, I gotta watch this show. This is so cool.
I was thinking about this. This might have been the first rap song that I was introduced to as a kid, or one of the first anyway.
Really?
Because I watched Kenan and Kel a lot when it was on. So, Orange Soda, Screwing the Tuna. I was there for it, baby. I was there for it. And yeah, I heard this song a lot. So I saw the opening credits with Coolio and Keenan and Kel in the car and all that, just balling out.
Yes.
And you talk about finger on the pulse. This is Coolio at the height of his powers.
Yes.
This is him fresh off Gangsta's Paradise.
Yes.
He is hotter than hot. And here he is doing the theme for this kids show, you know, rhyming Abbott and Costello with Penn and Teller.
Yes.
And even doing the nick. I mean, that's a really big coup for them.
Yes.
I mean, this would be like if Kendrick Lamar did Not Like Us, and then a month later he's doing the theme for SpongeBob. I mean, that's a big get right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And again, just adds to the cool factor of like, this is the show to watch. I mean, personally, I feel like between Amanda's show and Keenan and Kel is better. Keenan and Kel is cooler. I think the Amanda show is cool in itself. Like, it's, you know, I think it's more like more like bombastic, kind of like a little. But Keenan and Kel, like when you're watching, like this is, I feel like hip. It's interesting that like because all that was essentially just an SNL, you know, inspired by SNL, similar to like Living Color. It's interesting that there's like a pipeline through Keenan, right? He shows up in all that, then he goes to Keenan and Kel, does a couple things, then he finds himself in SNL, and he's been there for 20 years. Like, this is like 4 decades of Kenan Thompson being on TV from the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. And I don't know if like all that, like the vision for that was that some of these actors would eventually go to SNL, but it's kind of cool that like, I guess we're going to the wrestling trope of like starting from the development and then going to the big leagues, that Kenan Thompson does that. He is the one. He is the one that goes from all that, finds himself with SNL, and now to the point where he's been there 20 years. Like, there's always those rumors that when Lauren retires, like Kenan would be the one to replace him because he's been there so long. That would be, as much as I don't really love SNL now, I feel like there'd be something cool about if Kenan finds himself being like the head guy. That just would be such a, I don't know if we've seen that in like TV, you know? Wouldn't that be like so unique?
It'd be amazing. I mean, it's hard to imagine a world where he's not on my TV. Like, yes. That's where we've gotten to at this point with him. Because, yeah, since I was a very little kid, from all that, Kenan and Kel, and now at SNL, he's been a mainstay on my television for practically my entire life. It's crazy. And, you know, people, I think, have asked him, like, oh, you ever think about leaving? And he's like, why would I leave? I enjoy what I do. You know, I'm good at it. And, yeah, I mean, why would he leave? Like, there's no rule that he has to go. I mean, there's that joke that, you know, if you want to laugh in a sketch on SNL, just write Kenan reacts and you'll get a laugh, because he's just one of those guys. He's a glue guy. He really helps keep a scene going. And Kel Mitchell, we should mention him, he's kept pretty busy too all these years. He's done all sorts of shows and projects. Mm-hmm. He's done on, like, you know, Kenan's level, of course, but he's done plenty of guest spots and hosting TV shows here and there. And they're both still good friends too, which is really nice.
They came back. Yeah, there was a time where there was some frostiness, but they got back together. I mean, they just came out with another Good Burger last year, which I did not watch. I like the original Good Burger. Love the original Good Burger. Can't watch the other Good Burger. Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of, like, if we ever seen someone where we basically have seen, like, their entire life just on TV. Because, like, Kenan, like, I wonder how old he was when he was in all that. Was it, like, at least 10, 11? Was he a teenager? I mean, how is he now? 40?
Oh, he's probably older than 48. He's 48 years old.
So basically, we have seen. So all that starts what, 95, 96. So he would have been around like 17, 16. So basically, we have seen him on TV through adolescence, early adulthood, into now. The only comparison I can think of is LeBron, where we saw LeBron, his first games were like 16, and now he's 42. Kenan Thompson's kind of the same. Like, he started off at like 16, and we've seen every year of his life from 16, he's been on TV at one point. pretty astounding. I can't think of another actor or whatnot that's done that. Even that's just kind of astounding, you know?
It's pretty well. I mean, I can think of TV Hall of Famers, really. Just, Ted Danson is one of them.
Yeah.
Always been on TV, does a great job. Laurie Metcalf, David Boreanaz.
Yep.
That guy goes from one show to another. He's been on TV nonstop for years and years now.
Yeah.
But as far as like age range, Keenan's in a rare class, I think. As far as, at least I can think of right now, anyway. So
maybe Christian Bell, because she did Veronica Mars pretty young. Then she's the narrator of Gossip Girl, but then does Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Then there's House of Cards on HBO.
House of Lies.
Frozen.
House of Lies.
Now she's on House of Lies. Yes, House of Lies is really good. Don Cheadle, underrated show. And then like Nobody Wants This. That's a show that's popular now. Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess Christian Bell would kind of fit, but that's only 3 decades. Keenan would be 4. But yeah, I mean it's. Yeah, that would be quite a bow. I feel like that would be, honestly, like, he represents the legacy of all that, honestly.
Mm-hmm. All right, my next pick here, gonna get a little more down and dirty with my next pick, a little wilder here. This is not Jackass, but rather, it's the Jackass spin-off Viva La Bam with Bam Margera. And the theme song for that show is by a band called Daniel Lioni. That's the name of the band. And the theme song is The King of Rock and Roll.
I'm gonna give you what you need. I'm gonna make your ears bleed. Rock and roll, rock and roll. I'm the king of rock and roll. I'm gonna give you what you want. Tickle willy, show. Rock and roll, rock and roll. I'm the king of rock and roll.
So I was a little too young for Jackass when it aired, so I missed it when it was on, but by the time I became a young teenager, here comes Viva La Bam.
Yes.
And all of the hijinks that Bam got up to with his parents, Phil and April, and convicted sex offender Don Vito.
Big Vito.
And, Ryan Dunn and the gang, R.I.P., and I was hooked. And you can't get a more appropriate theme song for that show than this. I mean, just a rough and tumble, balls-to-the-wall rock song really encapsulates the whole mayhem and madness going on in the show. I'm going to give you what you need. I'm going to make your ears bleed. I'm the king of rock and roll. And the video is great, too, because there's the part of the song where it goes, a jiggly wiggly, jiggly wiggly, jiggly wiggly show. And Bam would jiggle Don Vito's jowls.
He would do it like the truffle shuffle. Yes.
Yeah. It was very funny. But yeah, the whole thing, it was exactly what a young teenage boy wants. Just pure, in-your-face testosterone and jackassery, no pun intended. And another show, I haven't gone back to watch it. I'm sure it's of its time. But when it was on, I was all in, Angry.
I'm with you. And I remember the end of the intro, they would say, Bam Margera, he's done this. What is he going to do next?
What's he going to do next?
And he would say,
whatever the fuck I want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm also with you where I missed Jackass by a little bit. I mean, I was 7, but I vividly remember watching a lot of Viva La Bam. And it's interesting because, like, I discovered Jackass through Bam first. And yeah, similar to you, like, just watching. I think what's different between Viva La Bam and Jackass is, like, Viva La Bam used to have, like, themes. Like, I remember the episode where, remember when, like, they try to hook up Rab with, like a mail order bride. So I mean, such a great episode. But I mean, they would obviously do like different, like, you know, the typical Jackass stuff, but they usually would fit under a theme. And yeah, it's funny when watching Viva La Bam, then going and discover Jackass. It was interesting to see Bam kind of as, I want to say like a bit player, but you know, Jackass, like the main guys is really Johnny, is Knoxville. But then you get Steve-O and Wee Man. But watching Jackass, it's like, I get why Bam got the show over like Steve. I mean, Steve-O was super charismatic, but I agree. Bam just had like this kind of different dimension to him where he was doing just the hijinks with them too. But yeah, like he kind of had an edge to him. Like Knoxville is this kind of like, I consider Knoxville kind of like Bob Saget. And like, you look at Johnny Knoxville and you think, oh, he's just like a nice guy. And then he like tries to jump over a raging bull or does stupid stuff. Well, Bam, you kind of know, like, yeah, this guy's probably doing some delinquent shit. It's a show of its time, and with a great theme that with you, I would sing it. I would do the truffle shuffle, like he would do with Don Vito. I think he's dead too, right? Vito?
He's dead too. Yeah, he died a few years ago. Yeah.
Bam's not doing great right now, right?
No, he's had his fair share of issues, definitely. I mean, he got kicked off Jackass 4,
right?
Because of it, and he did sign off on using footage for this upcoming Jackass movie, the last one that's about to come out. But it's all like archive footage, I believe, which is sad. I mean, you know, Ryan Dunn, a tragedy that he's gone, but his absence is because of his death. That's understandable. Bam's still alive, you know, and I think if he had his shit together, you know, he would still be part of the gang and still be with them because, you know, everyone else pretty much is. But yeah, like you said, you can see Johnny Knoxville. You can see why he became an actual actor after Jackass and was done a lot of things. Bam, I don't think that was his lot in life. I think he was kind of, you know, on his course of just being, you know, the Jackass guy or the skateboard guy, you know, that whole thing. But I did want to mention this too. Daniel Lioni, that's a band that I'm sure most people have never heard of before. It's actually a spin-off of the Finnish band Him, H-I-M, all caps.
Really?
Yeah, and it was basically like a joke. It was just this little bullshit side thing that they would do to blow off steam from the regular Him stuff. And they put out an album, bad reviews galore, you know. Yeah. But this song found its way onto the show. I think the lead singer actually has a cameo on the show as well in one of the episodes. And yeah, it lives on as the theme for Viva La Bam. So, you know.
That's so cool. I didn't know. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, one final note. I think the other thing, too, that you could tell that Bam was going to be the star. Even in Jackass, you would see Phil. You would see his parents, Phil, Amy, Vito. So it was almost like he had his own, like, Bam had his own, like, side plot of characters. So it made sense that, I mean, I know nothing about his life. It does seem like once Ryan Dunn died tragically, it seemed like that's where, because I remember, I don't know why, I vividly remember, like, when he passed, they did, like, an interview with him, with Bam on the spot, and he was just so down, just so devastated, which made sense. I mean, that was his guy. But yeah, it seems like after that, like, hasn't been the same, which makes sense, because I couldn't imagine, like, your best friend, like, passes away. And Dunn was also equally funny and equally great, too. And an underrated part of the Jackass group, too.
Totally fearless, too. Just, you know, I mean, they're all fearless, but, you know, I mean, I still laugh at, you know, just thinking of random bits from the movies, but, you know, Ryan Dunn sitting in the chair, like the Maxell tape commercial from back in the day, and instead of a fan blowing on him, it's a jumbo jet engine just blowing him off the runway. So, you know, just got such funny movies, man.
So what's your favorite Jackass bit?
Oh, geez, I mean, there's so many to choose from. You know, one that comes to mind right away is in Jackass number 2 when they dress up Danger Aaron as a terrorist, and he gets into a cab to go to the airport, and it turns out to be a prank on him, and the cab driver threatens him and puts him in the trunk of the car. I mean, it's
Yes.
that is I was amazed by that when I watched it in the theater.
Yeah, so good.
So
Yeah. I think my favorite is Jackass 3 because it's talking about Bam, when they would play not Eye of the Tiger. What's the other Rocky theme? The fuck. Why am I
Gonna Fly Now.
Yes, and you just see him in slow motion with the boxing glove, and he's going closer and closer to an unexpected guy and person, and then he just fucking destroys them with a hook. That was always great. That and whenever they would have someone in like a diaper and they would put a fire hose.
Yeah.
That was always great. And then the bull. The bull is always...
The bull, yeah. Boxing with Butterbean. Is Butterbean okay? I mean,
yeah.
Too many to name. We got to move on. But
so good.
But all right, Angry, what is your second to last pick here?
The next theme comes from a show that I discovered 5 years ago on accident when I was doing my internship. And it's become just such a fun show. I'm talking about the 80s. Talk about a quirky show, Night Court. They recently just brought it back, but it doesn't hit the same. I'm talking about the OG Night Court. So yeah, that's my next pick. Yeah, talk about a theme that instantly grabs you. I mean, when you hear the doom doom, you immediately perk up. And then once the beat drops, that saxophone, I feel like one of my favorite themes that feature a saxophone. And also what a perfect theme to describe such a quirky, funny, off-kilter show. Like, I mean, the premise of Night Court is simple as that. It's taking off these characters who are representing these people who are coming in during the nighttime, and there's a lot of interesting people, a lot of eccentric people, and I mean it's an eccentric theme. Like it's kind of like it's upbeat, but it's also, like I said, it's like not your typical type of show, and it feels kind of gritty. It feels not gritty. It feels kind of sleazy. And I mean that in a good way, because that's kind of the theme of the show. Like it's kind of sleazy, like like this is going to be a show that's like things are not going to be, things you probably shouldn't be repeated or things to be said. It's definitely a show that's dated, but a show that when I discovered, I'm like, this show is really funny, and I get why it got brought back. But I feel like the new version didn't capture kind of like how like the kind of intimate but quirky, eccentric vibe that this show has. And yeah, this theme is just it's so good. It's such a bop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no reason for a sitcom about Night Court to go this hard with the theme song, but damn it, it does. That bass line, that saxophone. We're not playing around in Night Court, that's for sure. And it's fun to contrast this with Miami Vice, because they were both on at the same time, but the vibes of both shows were decidedly different. So
yeah,
it stands to reason that the theme songs would also be very distinct from each other. Angry.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That, although yeah, could you imagine like John Legend's character like showing up? I could actually picture him showing up in Miami Vice, but like probably like trying to pick up a girl, because that's what he used to do. One thing I think is noticeable about Night Court is I think the outro is just as good as the intro. The outro is just like a slowed down version of the original, of the intro. But it's like, yeah, everything's done at half speed. There's the sax a little more pronounced, but it's just as good. Again, this is like it's just such a, for anyone that's never seen it, I don't know if it's on Peacock. I feel like it would be. It should be. But it's just a fun 22-minute comedy that, again, I can also see how you drop this off in like this came out, mid-80s? Right?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, again, it's similar, kind of unlike what was normally around. I think it's interesting that this show comes out maybe like a year or two before Seinfeld. Because then Seinfeld, I think, really, I mean, you get Seinfeld. I feel like the show also reminds me of like Married with Children in terms of like the quirky, kind of like off-kiltered, but also sleazy like comedy. So I in some ways, I mirror this as like, this is like one of the first of those where it's kind of lighthearted. Then you get Married with Children that takes it to another level. So it's interesting that in the late 80s, you're starting to get these irreverent chills popping up. Mm-hmm. And that NBC is the one that's producing them.
Mm-hmm. And there are not that many Night Court people left, actually. We've lost a lot of them.
Yes.
Harry Anderson, Marky Post, Richard Mole, mm-hmm. Charles Robinson. I mean, God bless John Larroquette. He's still around, and he was
just lost the bailiff a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was just in the new one, the new Night Court show.
Yep.
But I know him more from Boston Legal and The Librarians than I do Night Court. So
that's true.
But he's still kicking around, thankfully. But
mm-hmm.
But all right, my second to last theme here. This is another streaming show. This time one that was on Amazon Prime. It was a show called Patriot. It ran for 2 seasons. And the theme song for the first season was by a folk artist named Vashti Bunyan from the 60s here. This song is called Train Song.
Traveling north to find you. Train was beating the wind in my eyes. Don't even know what I'll say when I find you. Call out your name, love, don't be surprised. It's so many months and so long since I've met you. Don't even know what I'll find when I get to you. But suddenly now I know where I belong. It's many hundred miles and it won't be long. It won't be long. It won't be long. It won't be long. Nothing at all in my head to say to you.
So if you've never seen Patriot, which is probably most of you out there, it was a show about a CIA operative who gets a cover job with an engineering firm that goes overseas, and he tries to like influence an election overseas. So that's the very, very basic premise of it. And he's this tortured guy, literally and metaphorically, who is dealing with issues and things go off the rails in various ways. It was a rather offbeat show. It's not like a typical CIA action adventure, shoot 'em up kind of show. There was violence and all that, but there was also long stretches of not violence and there's comedy and stuff like that. So this was the theme for season 1, and again, not what you would expect a show about a CIA agent to have as its theme. It's this moody, haunting folk song from the 60s about a woman on a train going to see this long-lost lover. But it does capture the mood of the show and how just, contemplative it could be. And then the theme for season 2 was Sure Shot by the Beastie Boys. So a completely different vibe there, but they're both great songs. And again, if you haven't seen Patriot, which a lot of people haven't, but I fully recommend it that people check it out. Angry.
Yeah, this is the other show I was really curious about because I also had never seen it, but I know that Red is in the show from That 70s Show. Kurt Kurtwood Smith.
Kurtwood Smith is in it. Terry O'Quinn from Lost is in it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna. You had stole my notes because I had noticed season 2 had Sure Shot, and I'm like, because I was listening to this song, and I know Sure Shot. I mean, the last time we did Music of the Mat, I brought up the Beastie Boys song, so Beastie Boys is in my wheelhouse. I was going to ask, I was like, which song do you think best represents this show more, Sure Shot or Train Show?
I mean, it's such an out there show in terms of the tones that it goes for. They both kind of work in a way. And then in season 2, they actually bring Train Song back within like a scene of the show. It's like background music, which is interesting.
Yeah,
but
that's cool when shows do that. I feel like when they know like there's a song that you associate with the show, and that they bring it back. Yeah, I mean the premise of this has me hooked. Again, I'm always in the market for learning and like learning new shit. I was looking this up. Is this one of Amazon Prime's first like shows? Because I mean, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it came on.
It was pretty early on. Yeah. This was during the time when Amazon would do like those pilot seasons, where they would film a pilot, they would put them all up on Prime Video, and you could watch them all, and you could pretty much vote for which ones that you wanted to see. So you had this, you had, what else was on there? I think Bosch was one of them. Hand of God with Ron Perlman. Red Oaks, which was a good show I liked. Transparent, of course.
Yep.
So yeah, it was during that early days of Amazon Prime. Man in the High Castle as well. So this was one that managed to get past the pilot stage. And make it to 2 seasons, which again in the streaming world is a rarity in a lot of sense. That a lot of shows don't make it that far. So
but I feel like bringing up Train Song, and Sure Shot. I feel like that shows you kind of how they were how these unconventional like approaches to shows, and I think so that's the thing that really stood out to me with this song and with this show is that. If it comes out in 2015, that's kind of like what I talked about. This is right after, I would say, the Netflix boom, where I brought up, like, you get House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, BoJack. You're going to get Stranger Things, like, a year after this show. So it's interesting that shows like this come up when everyone's looking over and they're seeing, like, how things are going to shift because House of Cards is dominating entertainment in such a way that just came unforeseen. So yeah, it's cool that like Amazon was like really experimental and like we're just gonna try out. It's almost like their own spin of like pilot season of like we're just gonna film these pilots, we're gonna put it up, and What's interesting is I know that a few months ago there was that report that NBC is trying to bring pilot season back. And so I think that's going to be something really interesting, I think, in the next couple of years is just because the way streaming has taken over entertainment, just the way network shows are structured aren't really the same anymore. But yet there's something about pilot season that was a foundation. So I wonder if you would see more shows like Patriot where, they're like, we're going to try out these shows. Maybe we'll put them up on streaming or on Peacock, or maybe we'll put it on network TV, and you guys can pick for yourself. So, I'm definitely going to check out this show. So
please do.
I'm in.
Please do. Yeah. Again, similar to *Halt and Catch Fire*, just one of those shows where it had a very small but dedicated audience, and it's like this little club. And if you know it, you're cool. You're one of us. And the guy who made it, Stephen Conrad, he made another show called Perpetual Grace Limited that aired on Epix, which had a lot of the same cast. And he also just did that show DTF St. Louis on HBO.
Oh yeah.
With Jason Bateman, David Harbour, and Linda Cardellini. So he's got some good stuff for sure. But
yeah, it is interesting that Amazon seems like they're shifting more towards, I guess I would say more like YA. I would say kind of like upscale like CW, because you think of Off Campus. I watched Off Campus. I mean, Heated Rivalry was Max, but Off Campus, there was The Summer I Turned Pretty. You know, these very like different shows to like The Patriot. So I wonder if that's the lane they'll go in. But yeah, so that's why when I saw Prime, I'm like, I was really curious because I know what Prime is right now, and what's hot on Prime right now is vastly different than Patriot. So I just find that interesting that 10 years ago, you know, Amazon Prime tries this style. And then I know Bosch. Bosch was probably the biggest hit for Prime. I mean, they also just came up with Ballard, which is the spinoff.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like franchises go, going from Bosch to Bosch Legacy, which I guess was on Freevee, you know, but it's still part of the same family. And then now Ballard, certainly big. I mean, The Boys, you know, again, another big franchise for them.
You show me Maggie Q, I'm into it.
Hey, listen, I love it. I love it all. Give me all the Bosch verse you got. So yeah.
Salute to Maggie Q. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I'm into it. Definitely. But all right, Angry. What is your last pick of the episode?
All right. So the last pick, if anyone knows, for those that know me on the Discord, there's one show that I talk about more than any other show, and it was you knew I was gonna pick this song. I was gonna pick a song from this, so it's not even gonna cut to the chase. It's "Way Down the Hole" by the Blonde Boys of Alabama. You know, it's The Wire. You know, what more needs to be said?
If you walk through the garden, you better watch your back. Well, I beg your pardon, walk a straight and narrow track. If you walk with Jesus, he'll save your soul. You gotta keep the devil down in the hole. He's got the fire and the fury at his command. Well, you don't have to worry if you hold on to Jesus' hand. They'll all be safe from Satan when the thunder rolls. You gotta keep the devil way down in the hole.
I mean, again, what more needs to be said? I mean, this is probably one of the most iconic TV themes of all time. I mean, you know, I'm no different than many people that think this show is the greatest show ever, and it's their favorite show. That's my opinion. I think this is the greatest show ever. This is my favorite show of all time. There's 5 different versions of this song. Obviously, you know, each season of The Wire has Way Down the Hole, including season 2, which has the original. You know, Tom Watts, the legend. But when I think about which version I think defines The Wire, it's this one. It's the first song we hear. I think it encapsulates the show. Like it's like it's kind of somber. There's like this kind of like it's kind of depressing. You know, I mean it's also very like foreboding. You know, keep the devil way down the hole. I mean, big part of the show is the dysfunction of systems and how quickly people can get sapped into that, and also how the cycle of so many of these negative cycles just society continue to perpetuate. And I think David Simon also knows that this is the defining one, because at the end of the series, the season 5 monologue, you know, where they do the end of the season wrap up, they bring this song back. So yeah, I mean this if you've watched TV. Most people have, obviously. You've heard this song before. This is by far probably the most recognizable song that's been shared out of all of this. And I feel like there's not much to be said about how great this song is and how iconic it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this and *Halt and Catch Fire*, they were the two givens on this episode. It was just a question of, which version of the song you're going to go with. And even though this is a cover, Tom Waits does the original, and that's the version they use with season 2. Yeah, this does feel like the definitive version. Because the Blind Boys of Alabama are a gospel group, this is a gospel song of sorts, talking about how you got to be with God and be on his side because he has the power to keep the devil down in his hole. And they can bring the soulful gravitas to the song, for sure. Which is ironic because so much of the show is about the failure of institutions. And it's about corruption and drugs and murder and death and trying to do the right thing and getting met by so much resistance. The devil typically won on this show, so to speak. So there's a little irony there as well. But yeah, as far as like iconic theme songs go, especially for HBO, I mean, this, Sopranos, which we didn't pick, but again, a pretty big honorable mention to that one. Mm-hmm. Sex and the City, another very iconic theme song for that network. True Blood and Deadwood. We can go on and on with HBO, but this is definitely one that is up there for sure, Angry.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many things to talk about this show that we could do a whole episode just on this song in just terms of like the show, in terms of like different dynamic. But I think I'll just keep it towards, we were talking about like Twin Peaks, Miami Vice. I brought up Homicide: Life on the Street. You could bring up NYPD Blue. I feel like The Wire is like the culmination in terms of like from like a cop show, because it's not a cop show. It's more of, again, it's a show of the human nature, but just all the things that it's one of the. I think the best compliment I can say about The Wire is that when you ask people what is The Wire about, you can't put it in a box. It's a cop show, but it's not a cop show. It's about drugs, but it's not a drug show. The show is predominantly black cast, but it's not a black show. It's its own thing, and I think I think I would say that with like Miami Vice was its own thing. It really started something. I think Twin Peaks carried that torch, and it is super influential. And everyone, there's so many Twin Peaks references. This is a show that is not just influential. I feel like it's a show that just can't be, as much as people, take things from this show. It's just one of those things where you just can't. It's its own thing, and that's probably the highest compliment you can give it. And I think that's why this show and like Miami Vice and Twin Peaks, why those shows again will last forever, because no matter generations change, lingo changes. There's a lot of things circumstantially in the world that changes, but the human nature, the human condition will always be consistent. And The Wire touches on the human condition. And I think also just the casting, all the different dynamics. I mean, how this show was produced, the way it was, like even that was, and if you read All the Pieces Matter, like this show every year up until season 3 was written with the thought that it's going to be canceled. There won't be another show like this. Just like I don't think there'll never be another Twin Peaks or there would be another Miami Vice. But again, I feel like The Wire is at the pinnacle from that.
Mm-hmm. And it's appropriate too that each season has a different version of the song, because each season covers a different subject. Season 1 is about the streets. Season 2 is the docks, Season 3 is government, Season 4 is the schools, and Season 5 is the newspapers. So by having a different version each season, you can give each season its own flavor, its own little spin on the theme, while still keeping it connected to the overall themes of the show. So it's pretty neat in that sense there too, Ingrid. So
yeah, it gives each season, you're right, it gives each season its own atmosphere, its own like identity. And what's unique about The Wire is that other than like the first couple episodes where it's clear HBO is trying to make it similar to like any other cop show, and then Simon gets the full reign, and then he's able, there's no like, I guess there's no needle drops on the show, other than like the first couple episodes. So like, really, the only music you hear is like from the scene. Like if there's like cops, or are they driving around, or cars, you hear like the song they're playing, but there's no like needle drops. So I think that's also why the themes kind of stand out more, because, you know, again, shows like Miami Vice or Twin Peaks, like they're filled with just classic soundtracks. The Wire doesn't have that. It's just, I think that's what makes it so real, but I think that also what makes the theme songs for each season stand out, is because there's nothing else you can tie it to. You have to tie it to the intro.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, my last pick here, we're going to stay in the HBO camp with this one. And this song, it's by an Italian composer named Luciano Michelini. And it was originally made for a movie in 1974 called La Bellissima Estate, The Beautiful Summer. The song is called Frolic. And I'm not even going to say the name of the show. I'm just going to play the song, and you'll know exactly what it's the theme for. So yeah, the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme, I mean, so we keep saying iconic, but again, it is iconic. That's what everybody knows it as. You know, if you were to say, hey, do you know the song Frolic by Luciano Michelini? They'll say no. But if you go, bum, 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 ba, 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 they will know exactly what song you're talking about. It's kind of like the Always Sunny theme in that sense, where if you just see the title of it, you don't know what it is, but if you just sing along to it, you know exactly what it is. And for Curb, it's such a perfect choice because it's so out of place. You know, I mean, the show is called Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Larry David is this total curmudgeon, you know, socially inept, always putting his foot in his mouth and yelling and complaining about things and getting into trouble. And yet this song it's the most light, happy music you can find. In the movie, the Italian movie, where it comes from, it plays when a bunch of kids are running around having fun. So it is, you know, a funny contrast with, you know, bald asshole Larry David, you know, and it's become a meme too in and of itself. Like it's become cultural shorthand for well, sucks to be you. Like it's the 21st century version of the sad trombone. Wah 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 wah. So yeah, it's a song that it's become bigger than the show even, I think, Angry.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's one of those songs where you put it on, people instantly know. You're right. They may not know. You're right. They don't know the name, but you hear the couple notes and you just instantly know. Yep, that's Curb. I mean, you brought up your comparison. I mean, to me, the natural comparison is Seinfeld, because, you know, Larry David, you know, he birthed Seinfeld. And, I mean, I'm always marveled by how, first of all, you create something like Seinfeld, which I still think one of the greatest shows ever. It's such a show that's so timely, so timeless. And, like, even the stuff that happens on that show is still relevant today. But then to do it again with Curb, like, just like how is someone able to create both of these shows? To me, that's always more. But like kind of you said, like yeah, I love how I think that's the beauty of this song is that, yeah, like Larry David is just George because George, Jason Alexander. The famous story is that he realized halfway through Seinfeld that he's just playing Larry David. So whenever I watch Curb, I always think about like this would be like George the character, but just Larry David and all the stuff that happens there. Yeah, I mean and like you said, it is like the sad trombone song. It is the well, that sucks or fuck you, like so yeah, it's funny how like even the Seinfeld theme is like kind of out of place because like it's very quirky and weird and doesn't really fit this show, but at the same time it does fit. Feel like I feel like Frolic is the same thing where it's like, and this should not fit, but then as you watch Curb, you're like, it does fit. And I think it's just because of Larry David and just there's something. He's one of those people where I feel like it's hard to describe him. Like he has like this type of charisma that cannot be replicated. He's like a one of one. And I think Seinfeld's a one of one, and and I think it's just like who would think of like to pick this little obscure song from this Italian movie for this show with the title of the show where it doesn't make sense, and yet it fits perfectly and it's become it enhances the show. Like who would think of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, distinct is a good word, I think, to describe it, because I mean, the other music in the show is also really funny. Like, it's horns and tubas and oboes. It does such a great job of really punctuating the buffoonery and the scenarios that Larry got up to. And same with Seinfeld. The music on Seinfeld was so distinct and memorable. You can't mistake it for anything else. And like with Curb, the theme ramps up into the end credits. Like on Curb, you hear the dun 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 dun. That lets you know, okay, the show's over. On Seinfeld, same thing. You hear the and you know, okay, it's about to end. And then punchline, freeze frame, Yep, it's the same structure pretty much throughout, both shows, Angry.
Yeah, I wonder, like, maybe he's answered this. I would love to know where he got that from, because like, I think that's another way of using. I think he's unique where he uses the theme of the show to like, the theme of the show is essentially like a character of itself, both in Seinfeld and in Curb. And I feel like in some ways it feels kind of like a play, where, like, maybe not even a play. I feel like it's more like, like when the actors, they win an award and they do a speech. And if they go a little too long, the music starts playing. I feel like that's kind of the thing with Curb and with Seinfeld, where it's like, it's always in the background, the music. And then right as the scene is either going too long or towards the end, it's like, all right, here it comes. It's kind of genius that way, how and in a way, just with the music always playing in the background, but never too high, but it's always like a steady beat that he kind of prepares your mind to like, here's the punchline, here's the joke, never instantly go into the next thing. Like, it's genius how he does that. It's almost like a composer, I feel like. I mean, I don't know if he has any music background. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. I do know from what I read, he heard the theme in like a banking commercial like a few years before the show started, and it stuck with him, and he thought it was good for the show. So, just one of those random things that ends up, eventually making TV history. So, it's pretty cool.
It's interesting how I think this is a good perfect bow that, in many ways, like by far this guy, this quirky, very like distinct, odd person is like, has to be no doubt one of the 10 or 5 most influential people in TV in the last 30 years, almost 40 years. And it's all that it's the thing that's so unique is like, it's nothing like high concept. It's just, that's the thing I think that's probably the beauty of this song too. It's like, it's an odd choice, but it's not like artsy. It's just, it's not even like kind of ironic. I guess it's ironic, but he's not like trying to be ironic. It's just that's the song he chose, and yet through his brain and just how he configures the show and how his mind works, he's able to make it work. And again, I feel like he's just one of those people, and this is one of those shows where no one could do this. No one could do this but Larry David. Like there's different shows I feel like if you swapped out a director or whatnot, they could probably do a better job, but no one can duplicate what he does on Seinfeld, and no one can duplicate what he does on Curb. Like like I said, he's a one of one. Like, and when he goes, like, there's not gonna be anyone like a Larry David, and there's no one gonna be like a Larry David that's gonna think of. There's probably gonna be people that are gonna think of, maybe we can have an ironic song, but it's not gonna have the same psychology. This sounds like wrestling, It's like no one can never, I feel like that sounds like these kids now, they don't know how to work, they don't know how to hear it. But no, I think it's true though. Like, there's no one that's gonna replicate Larry David. Larry David's mind is unique in his own, and this song represents that the most.
Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up here. Those were our themes. That was the episode. And Angry, this was amazing, man. This was a real TV marathon in its own way, given how long we went here. But this was a real fun time as we traveled across the TV landscape here, man. And you were great too, as always. So thanks so much, man, for being here.
I mean, I appreciate that, but I mean, really, it's all you. I mean, first, I feel honored that you even brought me back again, but your show's been around for a while. It's so good, and I mean, I'm only as good as you. I mean, I follow your lead, so I'm really grateful for you. I mean, I have to give you all the props for that.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
Well, I mean, basketball's around, so I'm always in the sports channel. I'm really busy with school. I got 6 months left until I graduate, so that's why this year the match of the week has been very sporadic, where I used to do it every week. Now it's been like 3 weeks. Sometimes it's been a month. But I'm going to try to get back to doing match of the week in Dragon Gate channel. No promises. Maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. In 5 days, it'll be 4 years since I've done it. My goal is to get to 5 years, and then from there we'll see. But I definitely want to get back to doing the write-ups and of whatnot, of different Dragon Gate matches. Yeah, different Dragon Gate matches. I try to teach about like this what happened in Dragon System, whatnot. So I want to get back to that. Like I said, no promises because I'm getting very close to graduating. So I gotta lock in. But that's where you'll find me. You'll find me in the sports channel. You'll find me in the Discord. Hopefully you'll find me in the Dragon Gate channel, posting the match of the week. That's all I got.
All right. Well, good luck on the schooling. I wish you all the best there for sure.
There.
Yeah, but Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. All the great shows on there. VoicesOfWrestling.com. Previews, reviews, articles, things like that. Bluesky at Music of the Mat and at Just Andrew on Bluesky. If you want to leave a comment about this episode, share your picks. VoicesOfWrestling.com/Discord. That's also where I post the Spotify playlist for each episode. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice, and leave a nice rating and review. Alright, so the playout song for today. There was a time on NBC when these 4 shows all aired on the same night. 30 Rock, The Office, Parks and Rec, and Community. Back to back to back to back. And those shows, they were pretty damn big. I mean, whether, critically or ratings-wise or both, those are some pretty heavy hitters there. And it's hard to even imagine replicating that in this day and age. But I went with one of those shows, a show that always gives me the warm and fuzzies whenever I watch clips from it. It's Community. And the theme, it's by a band called The 88. And the song is called At Least It Was Here. Thanks again, Angry.
Thank you. I mean, this is, like I said, it's a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Give me your hands, show me the door. I cannot stand to wait anymore. Somebody said, be what you be. We could be old and cold and dead on wanna see. But I love you more than words can say. Well, I can't count the reasons I should stay. Give me some rope, time and a dream. Give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody said it could be here. We could be roped up, tied up, dead in a year. Well, I can't count the reasons I should stay. One by one, they all just fade away. I'm tired of the way it sees. I'm tired of that part of me that makes up a perfect life.
Music of the Mad is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.
Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins and I am the host of the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, a show right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we take a deep look at individual issues and stories that are going on in the wrestling world. Each episode is about a different topic and we take a thorough and educated look at things ranging from current booking trends to breakdowns on individual performers and angles to investigations into different fan cultures across the industry. In addition, we keep a close eye on the wrestling media, and as a professional journalist, I bring a unique perspective to how current issues in wrestling are being covered and discussed through the wrestling media. We have a revolving series of guests from across wrestling punditry joining us on each episode, and we hope that you make the choice to give us a listen on wherever you get your podcast from.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.